Association. I also run Did It, a 50-person digital first marketing agency. We do traditional work as well, mail millions of pieces of direct mail in fun ways. I'm here at DigiMarCon, the Boston DigiMarCon, and I'm here with uh, Brian Alves, who is
Congratulations, you said my name right.
so Brian Alves is spends a lot of time in marketing overall and video specifically. I think that's a passion area for you. Is
Yes.
that what you'll be talking about shortly?
I will be talking today about marketing ugly ads. Marketing ugly video ads, to be exact.
Okay.
And that's a pretty intriguing topic. Like, what is an ugly video ad? What's that all about?
Well, I mean, we've certainly seen ugly work in the past, right? A lot of times with video, it's about breaking through the clutter. And so,
Exactly.
ugly, I guess, is one of the ways you can break through the clutter. So, uh, do you recommend ugly?
Yeah, well, I'm on a mission. I mean, my sole purpose on this planet is to rid the world of bad video, right? So, bad video entails a lot of things like technical problems, visual problems, et cetera, et cetera. But now that we're in the world of social media, ugly video now, not necessarily bad video, there's a difference. Ugly video has its purpose because in the video production world and the marketing world, we're so bent on like perfection, right? We're so bent on, those L'Oreal ads and the models, and we want to make the colors look right, and we want to make everything look straight and perfect. But in the social media world, that's not acceptable. I mean, that's an immediate flip once
Yeah.
somebody smells it's an ad. Once somebody smells that they're being sold to, it's done. So an ugly video ad is sort of like a covert ad that it acts like an ad, but it doesn't look like an ad. So it can sort of, I don't want to say deceive, so it can sort of not receive that flip up so it can get the attention that it deserves. And that's what an ugly video ad is.
That's a great point. People talk a lot about authenticity in social
Yes.
media and overproduced production values that are sort of too high.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, they don't smell authentic,
No.
right? And so, some shaky video, some slightly less than perfect audio for a man on the street interview or podcast has its value, right? Because the authenticity shines through in the first 2 seconds,
Correct.
right? And if you don't get past the first 2 seconds, you lose all the other seconds
Pretty
to
much.
get the
Pretty
point
much.
across. So the other thing is within YouTube in particular, right? You've got the whole skippability idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does ugly or otherwise interruptive work to get you through that hurdle to where the person doesn't skip the ad?
Well, it's a technique. It's actually a whole new niche. So the hook is the most important. And as soon as you stop that scroll and you have those couple of seconds of a hook, a good hook, that's when you kind of, you need to do the next 2 seconds or the next 3 seconds to keep that hook going. And eventually they conclude the video and they have the brand and they have, they're pretty much branded with the advertising message. So it's all about that hook. It's all about how it's designed. It's all about how it looks. Because, like I said, the first second that ad looks like an ad, it's not authentic. And we're in the social media world now. It's okay on broadcast TV.
Sure.
It's okay in movie studios, but this is a different world on social media. Once it smells like an ad, they click away. So that hook is vital. And what it looks like, it has to be ugly. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. How to produce an ugly ad on purpose.
So obviously, video advertising has been around for many, many years. It used to be broadcast TV, where you'd have your 15 and your 30. That's pretty much it, unless you were going to buy the late night long form video or infomercial type video. And now, like all those flavors are sort of available now as well.
Correct.
So as you're advising clients on sort of video content, the look and feel, the creative brief, how do you decide how long it should be?
Oh, so it depends on the platform. So let's say you have an advertiser or you have a client who wants to be on TikTok. TikTok automatically, 2 minutes is way too long. TikTok, 30 seconds is even too long. 5 seconds is sometimes even too long.
Wow.
Yes, because today we have the attention span of a goldfish. All right, much less than a goldfish. And that's what you're getting as a marketer. That's what you're getting as an advertiser. That's what you're fighting for is that attention. So the more attention you get, the better. And it depends on what platform you're on. Like YouTube, long form video is good. You know, you have shorts, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, all under 2 minutes. And people argue with me over the years. You know, I've been involved with this for very long. They're like, Brian, 2 minutes, that's nothing. Believe it or not, it is. And that's the time that you have to make an impact. That's it. Because you're a scroll away, you know, you're a skip away, and you're done. So that hook, as short as possible to get that message in. It's like sort of like a Trojan horse kind of
Sure.
scenario. But the shorter, the better. And the whole goal is to grab that attention. That's it. That's it.
So one thing I've seen surprisingly surge, and I can't really figure out like why it's happening, but it must be true because I see it increasingly, is the return of what some people might call the video sales letter or
Mhm.
long form video, like
Yes.
telling a story
Yes.
that has a marketing message in it,
Mhm.
but it's so rich with content that people are actually sitting through
Mhm.
10 minutes, 15 minutes. I've seen them as long as 40-minute long, especially in the
Whoa.
nutraceutical category or the nutrition category or
Okay.
the diet category.
Yeah.
If you go into some of these competitive intelligence video ad monitoring platforms,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see folks, getting these videos where they're extra long. Like I
Mhm.
can't remember the name, this doctor's name, but he's all about like olive oil,
Yeah.
the olive
Yeah.
oil
I think I
diet or
saw the same
whatever it
one. I
was.
think I saw that one.
And his stuff, like he has a great hook, and then it just goes on, and you
Yes.
feel like you can't look away,
Yeah.
right?
It's a
So
technique.
yeah,
It's
I
a
mean,
technique.
those would seem to be even more difficult to produce, though, because at that point you've somehow hooked the person so well that they're on the line, and they're gonna stay with it,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, they may
Yes.
they may abandon at a certain point during the video, but long form video seems to have its place. I don't know when these people find the time to sit through a video of that length, but clearly, the fact that you go into these competitive intelligence tools and you see that they've successfully run 400,000 impressions against a particular
Yeah.
video.
Yes. And it
Yeah,
must be on YouTube, right?
yeah.
So YouTube is the
I've
platform.
even seen it though on Meta or Facebook.
Yeah, I do
Like
too.
people will stay in that ad unit and continue to watch that content
Yeah,
with the
absolutely.
strong hook.
Absolutely. So here's a technique behind that, really, really quick. So it all depends on retention editing. So the editor or the producer, it's all in chunks. So 30 seconds max because of our attention spans, or maybe
Right.
even 2 minutes max because of our attention spans. If you watch those videos very closely, Kevin, right? If you watch those videos closely, they're all in increments. So 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden they're on to something else for the next 2 minutes. Then they're on something else for the next 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Sometimes it's a minute, sometimes
Yeah,
it's
I'm
30
gonna
seconds,
have
but
to
it's
look more
always
carefully.
flipping, always flipping.
Yeah.
It's called retention editing.
Mhm.
And that's why people watch all the way through, because you're always feeding, in the back end, you have the producers who know their audience, you know the buttons to press, and you're going to, during the entire length of that video, you're going to start pressing those buttons, 3 minutes in, 5 minutes in, 8 minutes in, and that's why they watch all the way through.
Right. Yeah, that's fascinating. I learned a trick from somebody recently that at least on a sort of Windows machine, if I'm watching a YouTube video and it's an ad, and I'm sort of curious about it, because you know that if you can see the impression count on a hidden video, right, one that isn't actually published to the channel, that's 100% advertising, right? Because if it's unlisted and you see a lot of impressions,
Yeah.
those listings, that unlisted video only got seen as a result of either sharing or paid ads. And so if you do a right mouse click and you go into stats for nerds in YouTube, you can actually grab the URL of that ad unit.
We're all
right?
nerds, Kevin.
And
We're all
and
nerds.
you can put it in and hook it, paste it at the end of the video URL in YouTube and see how many impressions it got.
Yeah. It's
And I've
amazing.
sometimes been shocked
Yeah.
to see like an AG1 ad or a Kachava ad or
Mhm,
something like
mhm.
that with hundreds of thousands
Yes.
of unlisted video views. But the craziest thing is the way they name them,
Yeah.
right? Is usually because the production people never imagine when they upload the unlisted video that it's going to be seen in its own standalone environment.
It's always
right?
like a file name.
Yeah,
It's an
and the file
ambiguous
name is always like version 26,
26. That's
or
it.
whatever, version 26, sexy model hook.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
How did you find these? We're going to talk after this podcast. I got to find those too. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there are several platforms. I think VidTow is one of them that actually lets you put
I
in.
love VTown.
Yeah,
Oh
lets
yes,
you
I love
put in
VTown.
lets you put in an ad and sort of see how many, or an advertiser,
Yes.
and see all the ads that they've run, and what the level of frequencies are. And I think as folks who are fascinated by, you know, the fact that a marketer will only put dollars behind a video ad if it's working,
Right.
to be able to see the ones that are working is very instructive, right?
Correct.
Because you can
Yes.
then deconstruct it and
Yes, that's what I do.
learn about the video,
That's what
the
I do.
cuts, and the fact that it's 2 minute chunks that is actually driving the value.
So Kevin, you're not supposed to go behind the curtain like that. Just to let you know, you're not supposed to see the file names. You're not
Oh,
supposed to
no,
see
no,
those untitled videos.
no.
You're in
Well, we're
ground you're not
talking to
supposed to be in.
marketers here, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
should be
They
able to
should
see how
know
the
the
sausage
data.
is made,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Well, what other tips are there for folks, so that at least when they call you and your team in, that they can speak knowledgeably about, what they want you to do, like when they're
So,
doing the creative brief and when they're doing the, producing something.
so one thing when clients come up to me and my team is the biggest thing is they don't have the budget for video. So what's going back to my talk today, talking about ugly video ads. Ugly video ads are, when you're an agency or you're a business, you don't want to put $30,000, $40,000 into the production of a video
Sure.
because that doesn't get you anything. So the biggest tip that, as soon as a client comes up to me, I'm like, we should do an ugly video because it's going to be cheap. You can do it on your phone. You can get a tripod, cheap from, Temu, and the production cost is going to be so low. The production value is going to be high. The impact is going to be high. And if that ad doesn't work that you just spent like $100 on or $150 on, if it doesn't work, if it's not showing the data, if it's not, moving the needle, you can make another one
Yeah.
on the same budget you could have did for a professional video with a professional crew with professional equipment. And one thing that's really great about ugly video ads, I'm really excited about it because they have such impact. It is getting more well known. It's cheap. You can try different things, and to me, that's the way to go. That is the tip, is an ugly video ad, and I specialize in ugly video ads. I hate to
So-
call them ugly video ads, but they are.
So here's an internal argument that we've had, and I have a particular opinion, but I won't tell you which side I'm on. It's do you mic with the wireless lavaliers and get a nicer audio, or do you just use the audio that's in your iPhone or whatever you're shooting?
Yeah, so a trend that I see now, I don't know where you're going with this, but a trend that I see now is a lot of UGC, a lot of ugly video ad, people who are holding up that microphone. You ever see that?
Yeah.
It's so,
Yeah.
it bothers me as a professional. But that's old school. I've been doing this for so
Right.
long. Like, you are not supposed to see the microphone. But technology today, including this microphone, is clearly picking up my voice. I don't have to be on it.
Right.
So being mic'd up in some instances, as long as it's hidden to me from my
Oh, so
professional.
you still think it's supposed to be hidden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
We've
to do
gotten through this, because when I do my podcast in my home, I have 3 different studios, one home office and two offices. I always make sure that the mic is visible,
Yeah, okay.
because when I've talked to people about it, they've said, "Oh well, I love the fact that you use a visible mic because it adds gravitas." Because I can just as easily clip on a lavalier,
That's
right?
a good point.
And but yet, like the physical mic, right, evokes in the people's minds like a broadcaster,
Yeah,
right,
I totally
where
agree.
it has like a desktop
I totally
mic, or
agree.
a mic in their face. And so I've seen one of the trends in social media is either the mini held lavalier or the cube, like the Rode
Yeah,
cube,
yeah.
cube
Nice
ad.
one.
But Rode also makes a holder where you can stick that cube mic into a stick,
Yeah,
right? And the stick adds a certain authenticity to it as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
right?
That's
And I
true.
do feel like, as you sort of think about it, creativity, do you want to have that reporter in the street feel to it, right? Because you do
Yes.
see some TikTokers, some YouTubers who they feel like they can hook in their participant more easily if it's a man on the street, if they shove the mic in
In
their
that
face.
situation, yes. In that
You know?
situation. Now I notice on this microphone it has a blue light on it. When we're not recording, it goes red. So that's like a tally light. Right? I don't know
Yeah.
if you know what tally
Yeah,
lights
yeah,
are,
yeah.
but in the video production world, when the person sees, they act totally different when that tally light is on, not on.
Yeah.
And then when the tally light goes on, like here on the microphone, you're standing up.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
and the dynamic
Yeah.
of the interview, the dynamic
Sure.
of what's going
I'll
on
sit
in
up
front
more
of the
straight.
camera, the dynamic of it changes. So
Sure.
yeah, in certain instances, it's okay to show that microphone. It's okay to have
Yeah.
a handheld microphone. But on the authenticity side, it's so much better for me, at least. This is my opinion.
Right.
To hide that,
Right. But
because
you still like clean audio.
I do. I love clean audio. Yeah, audio is 90% of the video, no matter what.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 90% of the video.
Yeah.
At least when it's professional. But hiding that microphone, to me, keeps that dialogue, the dynamic of the conversation, authentic, because the person is involved with each other,
Right.
and they're not necessarily thinking in the back of my mind, oh my God, there's a tally light on. There's a, that's like a visual tally light. Is that microphone? So that's my opinion. I find I get better interviews, I get genuine, authentic content when people don't see equipment flying around. When people don't see that, because it goes into like that professional mode.
Yeah.
People act differently, and you're not really getting authenticity out. So, what do you hear? So I guess that's debatable, right?
No, I mean, I think it doesn't seem to be a tried and true one size fits all. I think it really does have to do with whether the person that you're going to have mic'd up or on video is prepared for it, right? Is sort of knows they're in an acting role essentially,
right.
versus sort of a more impromptu kind of a thing. And sometimes for certain authentic videos, the impromptu element of it adds that dynamic that you want, right?
Dynamic.
You don't want it scripted,
right?
You want it like off the cuff. You want that banter, right, between the two individuals.
Correct.
So I think you could probably try the same content both ways, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
And just see if it comes out differently. Maybe start with the invisible mic, and then see if the person behaves differently if you use a visible handheld mic.
Exactly.
I do think it changes the way their brain engages with the content, depending on what you're going to do.
Exactly. I know when I was a kid, if I can interrupt your thought
Sure.
for a second. When I was a kid, I used to watch movies and watch television shows on TV. And when you saw, like, I'm going to show my age here, but like Johnny Carson was popular. You see the microphone come in.
Every once in a while, the boom mic.
Yeah, the boom mic would show up, and that for me as a viewer would like.
It break it for you?
Yeah, from the viewer perspective, it broke the magic, right? You're seeing everything behind the scenes,
right?
And it was different. And for me, when I saw that stuff, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. There's people behind cameras and microphones.
Yeah,
and that's why I kind of got into the industry I was in. But going back to the dynamic and seeing the equipment, it changes it. And what's in front of the camera and the dynamic between two people, the actors or whatever, it changes it when you see that equipment. Now, I saw that camera there, and I saw that, and that changed this dynamic a little bit between you and I. But I'm used to it, so camera's always been in the room for me, and microphone everywhere I go. So it's like my best friend wherever I go since I was born. So
for sure,
I'm used to it.
So I'm not sure if this ends up being part of your assignment sometimes for clients, but a lot of times clients will want the testimonial videos, and they want those to be authentic too, right? So they're coordinating with their customers or clients, and they're orchestrating that testimonial video, and they want it to be authentic, but at the same time they want to make sure that the message gets across, like how great we are. Oh, wow, what a great video producer you and your team are, right?
Yes.
You want that to come across in the video testimonial. Same thing regardless of which of my 4 brands I'm doing a video testimonial for, I'm trying to get, I'm trying to extract something out of the testimonial, but you don't want it to seem coached or scripted, right? So when you're doing an ugly video, but it's a testimonial video, do you handle it differently?
It's got to be ugly. Yeah,
as long as it's ugly, I understand it's got to be ugly.
It's got to be ugly. So there are a lot of services out there online where you can actually send your client a link,
right?
And they can, click the link on the phone to record their testimonial. Kind of give them a little bit of background. That's what I prefer. That is like, raw people. Some of them slobber, cross-eyed. You get the imperfections, and that is so authentic. It's kind of funny in a way,
right?
The more polished it is, at least in my experience, and the clients that I deal with, the more polished it is. Don't get me wrong. Let me back up a little bit. So testimonials are the most impactful piece of video that you can get for your business. Whether it's a Google review in text, whether it's Trustpilot, that review is golden. You have no idea how many companies I've dealt with that rely on that 5.0 in Google ratings. But when you get that video review from a client, whether it's user-generated content, that is the best. No matter how raw it is. It's funny you say this because I'm dealing with a client right now. It's a debt relief company, And every single person who clicked the link, who was asked for a review, had the courage to do it, but they couldn't pronounce the name of the company right. ACCC, American Credit Company Counseling Corporation, and they all got it wrong. And my team was like, "Oh my God, we can't use this video. It's horrible. This stuff looks horrible." But you know what? We ended up doing a 30-second video with all the mess ups. And we said basically, they can't pronounce our name right. Our the pronunciation of our name is really, really hard,
Right.
but getting out of debt with us is not. So we
Right.
used that. We got creative with it.
Yeah, sure.
And for the polished testimonials that we had, it didn't get as much. Those didn't get as much engagement as those raw, real. No matter how badly they were done,
Right.
it was an ugly testimonial. So that we're going to coin that right now on this podcast, an ugly testimonial, and that's what works.
Yeah.
At least in my experience. I'm not going to say that's the hard stop thing to do, but ugly, authentic, real, unscripted. That's the stuff that works.
So I haven't tested any of those self testimonial platforms. Do they have sort of release shrink releases where the person
talent
agrees
release.
to
Yes.
to their because if they're drooling or slobbering or mispronouncing or not coming out at their best necessarily,
Authentic. To say authentic.
it is authentic.
Like to them, like, hey, I drool all the time. That's nothing.
I mean, perhaps people are more comfortable being on camera, in this generation,
Yeah.
or now than they might have been 10 or 15 years ago. But, I still certainly run into people who, even in we're doing the Good Pics charity headshots here, right? Some people are still a little nervous when they get.
I was nervous yesterday, that's for sure.
Yeah.
She had me looking in the mirror. She said, "Why are you taking like 500 shots? The guy before me, you took one." I started to get self-conscious.
So, but yeah, I mean, are there ways you can feel to make for the testimonial person feel more comfortable?
Yeah, if they do it themselves.
Yeah.
If they do it themselves. Because if I was the average person here on a podcast and I didn't, that tally light goes on, all of a sudden some people are like deer in headlights.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can see they're reading a script, and to the viewer, like that's not real.
Yeah.
So the more authentic it is, the more crazy it is. I mean, in my experience, now, I'm not saying this is like the standard, but in my experience, I see a lot more engagement with real stuff. I mean, even though it looks bad,
yeah,
people are drooling, or bird flies into their head, or something crazy. That to me is the best way. And yes, some of these platforms, they do have a release that you have to go through before you get on to the next step.
Okay.
And some of them are really expensive, and some of them are like dirt cheap. And I don't know if you're familiar with AppSumo, if I'm allowed to say anything on here, but they sell those all the time for $35 for the rest of your life. You can have this platform, and they're awesome. They work
for sure.
They work.
So what other things do people get wrong when they're doing ugly video?
What other things do people get wrong when they try to make it an ugly video? When they purposely script an ugly video, like they purposely let's just mess up your hair. They have a script, they have a production crew, but they fake an ugly video. Does that make sense?
It does sort of make sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, fake ugly. It doesn't come off authentic.
Yeah,
it's fake ugly
because it's faked ugly. It's like, okay, the person is purposely, in this environment. You can tell the lighting.
Yep.
You can tell the equipment is there, and it's just a fake ugly ad. You can just feel it. I mean, because of social media and how personal it is to everybody, you can spot these things.
Yeah.
At least I can.
Yeah. So one thing that folks who live in the world of video may not even realize as they're creating these great ugly videos with authentic content is that with the surge in LLM-based AI, that the transcripts of these videos that end up on YouTube or any of the places where transcripts are available are one of the data sources that the LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude, Google Gemini are going to use to answer questions where the brand may be mentioned, right? And so all forms of content are being ingested by these LLM models, right?
And constantly learning.
one sort of byproduct of these ugly videos is probably going to be the fact that you're more likely to show up in some of the AI related
Pretty
chatbot
much.
searches.
Pretty much.
So if you can't justify it with all the other great reasons to do your ugly video because it works in social and it's social proof and all these other things that'll improve your conversion rate and your ROI, your visibility in the next generation of search is probably another
Yeah.
reason to,
Yeah. And where's authenticity with that?
absolutely.
When it learns and learns and learns and it becomes the standard and becomes every day, where's your authenticity anymore? So yeah, I'm kind of concerned about that kind of stuff, but I'm not worried about it right now. But I know it's constantly. I know that.
Cool.
I thought you were going to get into like avatars because they have. I know HeyGen. I don't know if you're familiar with HeyGen,
No.
but they have now their own UGC people where you can actually type in and the
Right.
person like walks the street and it's an ugly ad
Right.
generated by AI. It's insane. So it's coming.
Okay. So do you feel like AI will be able to replace the authentic ugly ad, or you feel like you're not a big fan?
So AI in marketing, AI in video production is an excellent tool to increase productivity, but you need the human to provide the creativity.
Yeah.
You know, a human is important, especially like in the video production world. There's a big buzz right now that video editors are going to be losing their job, producers are losing their job, and they are. But if you do not know how to use AI as a video editor, you definitely are just going to fall off the face of the industry. Those who are using AI do more jobs. Like if they get a job, if they get a single client and they have a job with AI edited up, that means they can do 3, 4, 5 more. So it increases productivity.
Yeah, sure.
So again, it's good for productivity, but you still need that human for the creativity.
Great.
There's
Well,
no doubt.
thanks, Brian. I appreciate you jumping on for the
Nice to meet
Impromptu
you.
podcast. You'll be doing your session here
I
at
will be.
DigiMarCon New England, and look forward to hearing what you have to say up there.
Look forward to listening. Thank you.